निराभासं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्म नमाम्यहम्.
So, welcome everyone. We'll just continue with this prayer that is going on. So, it's Aurobindo birthday also today, along with August 15, India's birthday. So, let us just continue with our prayers and centering the mind with this prayer that is going on.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं येन कृत्स्नं चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. चिद्रूपेण परिव्याप्तं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्न समुद्भासितमूर्तये आत्मज्ञानाग्निदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. चैतन्यः शाश्वतः शान्तो व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः बिन्दुनादकलातीतः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढस्तत्त्वमाला विभूषितः भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्ता कर्मेन्धनविदाहिने आत्मज्ञानाग्निदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च प्रापणं सारसम्पदः यस्य पादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मन्नाथ श्रीजगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुरादिरनादिश्च गुरुः परमदैवतम् गुरो परतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः।
So again, welcome everyone and thanks for being here today. So today we thought we'll just take a moment to reflect upon and meditate upon uh, true freedom, since we are coinciding our morning Monday meditation with India's Independence Day, I believe, and it's also Sri Aurobindo's birthday, 75th birthday. So I thought maybe we'll learn from them what they have to see about what is true freedom. And many of us may have read what Mother and Sri Aurobindo have to say about it, and what is the path towards true freedom. And not only them, other masters like Thich Naht Hanh also talks about true freedom. What is it to be truly free? So I thought we'll just listen to them and maybe read about them a bit, and also couple it with our meditations. Yeah, so anything anyone wants to share at this moment? Okay, so I'm going to share with us a uh, few lines by Mother and Sri Aurobindo before we move on to the teaching by Thich Nath Hanh, which I would also like to uh, share with all of us. Just a second. Yeah. So, of course, all of us who are here, we all know that at the moment we are not truly free. And that's why we have an aspiration to be free. I think that's the ground where we start from, but we don't have to stay at that ground all the time. We can change if we want to. So I think that's where we start from. That we know, we realize that we are not free. We are still bound by our thoughts, ideas, opinions, our feelings, emotions. They take us away, sway us away anytime they want to. Even the physical body feels like an overwhelming bondage of which we are not master of. So, is there a way to liberation? Is there a way to freedom? And that's what Mother and Sri Aurobindo share. So I've taken up these few lines, not much, there is enough if we want to search, but just a little bit on what is true liberty and true freedom. So I would request if one by one, each one of us can maybe read just one, and then we take a moment of silence and then we begin with the other one. So M means mother. So would anyone like to read?
I'll start.
Yes, Rick. Yeah.
If you have a strong and conscious will, and your will is centered around the psychic, then you can have a taste of liberty. Otherwise, you are the slaves of all the outside influences.
So let's just for this moment, we'll just focus on what just Rick just read. And before that, Mother also says true liberation is the disappearance of the ego. So let us just stay with this highlighted portion for a moment. So let's take another one. Yeah, would anyone want to read it aloud?
I'll do that. Freedom does not come from outer circumstances, but from inner liberation. Find your soul, unite with it, let it govern your life, and you will be free. Mother.
So I think for those of us who feel a bit of gratitude towards the divine, towards Mother Sri Aurobindo, I think this would be a perfect gift from our side as a token of respect and gratitude. What Shamla ji just read. Find your soul, unite with it, let it govern your life. Yeah. Would anyone want to take up the next?
Yeah, I can do it. Freedom is to do only what the Supreme Consciousness makes us do. In every other case, one is a slave, whether of the will of others, or of conventions, or moral laws, or of vital impulses, or of mental fancies, or above all, of the desires of the ego.
So I think we all know how difficult for us it is to focus when a thought is overwhelming, a desire is overwhelming, mental fancies, images are there, how difficult it is to focus, even if we want to. So that's true freedom. Mother says that we are not a slave of mental fancies. We can create when we want to, but it's not that we don't have any power over them. It's really very amazing to see that if there is an appearance coming, a mental formation coming, and we want to focus on, say, mother or the breath, we have to really struggle at this moment too much to focus ourselves. But I think it's a good start, even if this struggle is there. At least now we want to focus. And if there is a want, the way will appear. So the last one by the mother that we have here, there are enough, those of us who want to search. And then we'll take up something by Sri Aurobindo. Yeah, would anyone want to read?
The only true liberty is that obtained by union with the divine. One can unite with the divine only when the ego is mastered. Mother.
So at another point, Mother says that if you truly, truly want to show your gratitude to the divine, then do just this much, unite with the divine. A long journey, but I think as a mark of respect, love, and reverence, we can just begin, at least embark upon this journey of the union with the divine consciousness. Yeah. And that should be the only prime focus of our life and nothing else. Nothing else. Not, everything else is secondary in front of this prime focus, which is the union with the divine. So we are going to read something by Sri Aurobindo. It's a bit long. And we can read it at once fully and then reflect and then silently meditate over it. So would anyone, so it's a passage named The Divine Superman. And it's a long passage, but I picked up just a bit of it to share with us our possibility. So would anyone want to read this for us?
I can.
Yes, Rick.
The divine Superman. That which thou hast to transcend is the self thou appearest to be. And that is man as thou knowest him, the apparent Purusha. And what is this man? He is a mental being enslaved to life and matter. And where he is not enslaved to life and matter, he is the slave of his mind. But this is a great and heavy servitude. For to be the slave of mind is to be the slave of the false, the limited, and the apparent. The self that thou hast to become is the self that thou art within, behind the veil of mind, and life and matter. It is to be the spiritual, the divine, the Superman, the real Purusha. For that which is above the mental being is the Superman. It is to be the master of thy mind, thy life, thy body. It is to be a king over nature, of whom thou art now the tool, lifted above her, who now has thee under her. It is to be free and not a slave, to be one and not divided, to be immortal and not obscured by death, to be full of light and not darkened, to be full of bliss and not the sport of grief and suffering, to be uplifted into power and not cast down into weakness. It is to live in the infinite and possess the finite. It is to live in God and be one with him in his being. To become thyself is to be this and all that flows from it. Be free in thyself, and therefore free in thy mind, free in thy life and thy body. For the spirit is freedom.
Thank you so much. So I think it's already very, very clear and crisp that wherever we are right now, we don't have to stay stuck there. That is not our destiny. Our true destiny is to live in the infinite. And that infinite paradoxically is 24/7 with us all the time. If only we have the time to look at it, to be with it. And the true freedom, as Sri Aurobindo says, is to be the master of mind, master of life, which is emotions, feelings, the energies, master of body. And it is to be a king over nature, of whom we are now a tool. We are right now a slave. If there is hunger coming, I feel compelled to eat. There is no way that I can say, okay, not right now. If the body is hungry, I have no control over the body. If the mind is overwhelmed with past or future or present happenings, the commentary default that goes on in my head, I am compelled to think about it. So I am a tool. I am a slave of the nature. And if emotions are there, I'm feeling certain things. It's very rare that I can say, okay, now I would not go into those feelings right now. I don't want to. And if one can do that, I think that's the beginning of true mastery. That one is refusing to be a slave and a puppet of nature. Nature is the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, movements of the body, sensations, perceptions. All that moves is nature. Life happenings. So right now we are under nature, as Sri Aurobindo says, who now has thee under her. And then he also gives us the way forward, that it is to be free and not a slave, to be one and not divided. So as if there is a central being in us which is in command, and the thoughts, the impulses, the feelings, emotions, body, all of that is under the command of this central being. That's our possibility. Okay, so yeah, anything here, anyone, before we move on to teaching to listen to? Okay, so we are going to listen to a teaching by Thich Naht Hanh. I find it very beautiful because he talks about true freedom, and he says that at every moment we have the possibility to find this true freedom in ourselves. It's a bit long, and that's why the session is also an extended session today. So for those of us who have other commitments, they can leave whenever they want to, and those of us who want to stay, please stay. So yeah, I'll just reshare it again. So it's titled as There is a Beautiful Island of Freedom Within You, and it's about 12 minutes.
It's a beautiful island within that you might take refuge in every time you suffer. Don't take refuge in anything, in anyone, except in the island inside. And this is a very wonderful teaching. At that time, he was in the city of Shravasti. No, the city of Vaishali. I have visited this city several times. It's northern, when you cross the Ganges River, you arrive at the city of Vaishali. And he met with groups of students in Vaishali, and he went to visit many other Sangha, small communities of practice, monks and nuns and others. And he met with dozens of groups of friends and disciples like that. And he spoke about taking refuge in the island within yourself. Don't take refuge in anything, anyone, but take refuge in the island within yourself. The island within yourself is for you to discover. It's a very safe place. It's a place where you feel calm. You are not disturbed. You feel happy. You feel protected. Every time we feel we suffer so much, we feel we are attacked by every side. We feel that no one loves us, that everyone wants us to suffer. Every time we fail in everything we do. And then we have to remember there is a very fine, beautiful place that we can go home to in order to take refuge. And that place you have to discover. It is not located in space. It's easy to go to Paris because Paris is located in space. You look at the map and you see in what direction Paris is. You just go to that direction and you find Paris. But this island of self, this refuge where you can feel safe, feel happy, feel connected, feel calm. That island of self you have to discover by your practice. I would like to tell you a story that helps you to understand better the practice of taking refuge in the island of self. About 30 years ago, I was practicing and living in the northern part of France. There was a hermitage called Les Patates Douces. And I went to a solo retreat in that hermitage. And that morning, it was beautiful. And I decided to spend the whole day in the wood. The hermitage was situated in a kind of forest called La Forêt d'Hôte. And I like to do walking meditation and sitting meditation in the wood. So that morning, I decided to spend the whole day in the wood. So I brought with me a bowl of rice, some sesame seed, a bottle of water, and off I went to the forest and wanted to stay the whole day there. I enjoyed very much, but at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, black clouds began to gather. And I knew that I could not stay longer in the wood. I had to go home to the hermitage. Before I left the hermitage, I had opened the door and all the windows so that the sunshine can come in. And now the wind has begun to blow, and I knew that I have to stop my stay in the wood and go home to the hermitage to take care of it. When I arrived at the hermitage, I found the situation not pleasant at all. The wind has blown very hard. And then all the papers I put on my table were blown a little bit everywhere. And then it's cold, it's miserable in the hermitage. Cold and dark and disorder. It's a mess. The first thing I did was to go and close all the windows, because I didn't want the wind to continue its work of destruction. So I closed the windows, and I also closed the door. And then I made a fire in the chimney. And when the fire began to become alive, I began to go and collect all the sheets of paper on the ground and put them on the table, and took the little brick I had to put it on it. I tried to make the hermitage tidy, in order. By that time, the chimney was very pleasant already. Now it is warm, it is pleasant, it's cozy within the hermitage. And I sit by the fire, I toasted my fingers, and I listen and enjoy the wind and the rain outside. And that is my practice. There are days when you when you feel that it's not your day, everything goes wrong. And the more effort you make, well, the situation become worse. Of course, you have gone through days like that in your life. You fail in everything. You suffer. You get angry. People blame you. You are not happy. You are frustrated. And you tell yourself that you have to make more effort. But the more effort you make, the worse the situation became. And then you know that it's time to stop. It's time to stop everything. It's time to go home to yourself. And take refuge in yourself. You have to close your windows. The eyes, ear. You have to close the 5 windows. You should not be in touch with the outside anymore. You have to close the window of your hermitage, because there is a hermitage within yourself. That is the island of self that you are going to discover. If you continue to be on the outside, you continue to suffer, That is why in moments like that, you have to go home to the island of self. And the first thing you do is exactly what I did with my hermitage, to close the 5 windows. And you know that eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, the 6 windows you close. Don't look, don't listen, don't touch, don't think. Stop everything in order to prevent the strong wind from the outside to continue to blow in and to make you miserable. Because the eyes is a window. Then the ear is a window. The mind is a window. And if you keep open them, and then the wind of suffering, the wind of disturbance will continue to come and make the situation worse and worse. Don't try anymore. Don't try anymore. Stop trying and shut the windows. You shut also the door. And you have to go to the chimney and make a fire. You want to get the feeling of warmth, coziness, comfort, by practicing mindful breathing, going home to yourself and rearrange everything, your feelings, your perceptions, your emotions. They are all scattered all over. It's a mess. You have to have recognized each feeling, each emotion, and you have to collect them. Like I collected all the sheets of paper that were scattered a little bit all over. Practice mindfulness and concentration, and tidy up everything within yourself. You are going home, you have gone home to your island of self, and you are transformed it into some a place that is cozy, that is pleasant for you to take refuge in. Everyone has an hermitage within, very safe, very cozy, very comfortable, very calm. And you have to go home to that hermitage.
So I felt a good reminder for all of us to we back home again and again since we get astray. And I think many a times when there is too much going around, we often have this want to just take a silent moment, quiet moment to ourselves. But many a times it happens that even when we are alone in a room, the mind is not quiet. So what he shared, that shut all the 5 doors, I think that was really, really very powerful. We don't have to then think in that shutting off of the 5, 6 senses that are there, not listening to all the noises, just bringing the mind home to the body and taking refuge, as he said, not in anyone or anything, but in our own self. And also stabilizing ourselves there, because from time to time we need this stabilization in our home. Yeah, so anything anyone wants to share? Yeah, in another talk, I remember Thich Naht Hanh also shares that uh, Thay has that power that right now he doesn't want to think, so he does not think. So I think that's really very beautiful and powerful and inspirational, that when we don't want to think, then we don't think. It's not that we are not able to stop this infinite chatter of the mind. And then when we want to imagine, when we want to create, when the thought is required, then it is at our disposal. We can think. It's not that we can't. Feelings, again, overwhelmed by feelings, emotions. So, for example, anger is arising, jealousy is arising, whatever, all these things keep on arising. And we say to ourselves that, yes, I see you, and you can be here for as long as you like. And then we are free of not following the dictate of whatever is arising. So, a kind of a bit of mastery over the disturbing emotions also, and taking the real throne within, taking the seat within ourselves. And when we take this seat, I feel that we give the seat to the divine. That's what it means, that we are giving, honoring our inner temple, inner sanctuary, and we are cleaning it of all impurities and giving the throne to the divine, who truly is the master. And it takes a lot of effort, because cleaning is required, and time to time cleaning. So, yeah, I think with that aspiration that all of us would want to walk this path towards true freedom, and we know that we are not there, but we can be there. That's our destiny. We don't have to stop midway. So, wishing for each one of us and all the sentient beings, may all of us have true freedom, true liberation, and may we all have joy, and I think a world at peace would be nice. So, any last comments, reflections before we end? All right. So, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you taking out time for this today, and happy freedom to each one of us. And
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
thank you. Thank you. And happy
God
birthday to
bless you.
Sri Aurobindo.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Rick. Bye bye. पे आप रोड पे भी निकलो तो इट्स ऑल लाइक कंक्रीट इफ यू गो ऑन द
हाँ
रोड।
देखो सामने ना हल्का सा एक वो विजुअली के लिए ग्रीन है, बट वो है नहीं, मतलब उसके
अच्छा।
पीछे बिल्डिंग्स ही हैं। हम सुबह, मैंने आपको बताया ना, सुबह उठे मैं ढूंढ रही थी, पहले पैदल ढूंढा, उसके
हम्म
बाद गाड़ी निकाल के ढूंढा कि चलो मिडवे
हम्म
ज्वाइन कर लो, कोई मिला
हम्म
ही नहीं।
आई
10 से
थिंक
20 किलोमीटर के करीब
लुकिंग
चलाया
एट
होगा
दिस
मैंने।
लुकिंग एट दिस वेयर यू वर अर्लियर, जैसे मिल्टन या जो
हाँ
भी, वो तो
हाँ
जन्नत जन्नत है इसके
हाँ
सामने, है
हाँ
ना?
हाँ, यही मैं आपको
हाँ।
उस दिन जब भाई टोरंटो की बात हुई थी ना, दिस
हम्म
इज व्हाट केम टू मी कि वो तो थोड़ा, और अभी तो देखो यहाँ पे बंदे पे बंदे